Radio Wammo Breakfast.
Ads with Simon Pound from simonpound.com.
Yeah, it certainly is. Simon Pound, good morning. Simon Pound, good morning. Can you hear me? Maybe you can't hear me. No, because I need to send my audio signal to you. Good morning, Simon. Here we go.
Good morning. How are you, good sir?
I'm just connecting all the dots this morning, actually, to tell you the truth.
Hey, connect some of mine.
This morning, of course, it is the ad feature, and got a bit of industry news sort of this morning, really.
Yeah, a couple of interesting kind of things going on. The big news this week in marketing communications would be that a company that has roots in New Zealand and offices all around the world called the Hyper Factory has been sold to a big old media company in the States for rumoured but not confirmed big figures. The story of this thing is that in 2001, these brothers, Jeffrey and Derek Handley, set up a company called the Hyper Factory, and in 2001 it was a very, very pioneering move to be focusing on delivering adverts through mobile phones. And this is, way before web browsers were standard, and the technology was all very new, and also the kind of strategy and concept was new of trying to serve ads to people on their phones.
Yeah.
And so Derek and Jeffrey are very clever dudes and very hard workers and very kind of well-connected operators. And they did things like Derek did big stints in Saatchi & Saatchi all around the world, kind of learning how it works and learning how advertising agencies works and what they need. And then they managed to get themselves really big clients quite early on, like people like McDonald's and Coca-Cola and Kraft, the biggest brands in the world, who are always looking to kind of do interesting new marketing things. And they did great campaigns for them. They also pioneered, the Hyper Factory did some really pioneering work on augmented reality. They did a wonderful campaign in Hong Kong for Nike years and years ago, one of the first that ever popped out, where people could download the program to their phones and then go and stand in front of street posters, and it would look like a Nike football boot was kicking a ball at them.
Huh.
And this was like revolutionary when they were doing it.
And interesting that it was coming out of New Zealand, and we're not seeing this sort of stuff in our local market, but it's overseas.
Yeah, they have they've got offices in a couple of places. They've got an outpost in Hyderabad, in India, where they get a lot of development done. They've got an office in Auckland where they do a lot of their kind of concept development and a bit of development. And then New York and, exciting places like that where they're actually close to the brands. And that's where Derek and Jeffrey kind of split their time between New York and Auckland. But to actually do the campaigns here hasn't really been worth it for most brands because there's so few people with the fancy phones.
Yeah.
Although that is now changing, of course. But yeah, they did very clever work and kind of got big brands on board, and they had an old media company called Meredith bought a 20% stake in them last year, and now the news comes out this week that they've now bought the whole lot of them. So they've only hinted darkly at how much it's worth, but I mean, some people are saying that it's 70 million. Some people are saying they're going to come out of this very well with tens of millions each.
Wow.
Which is fantastic, and it's doubly clever because I think that the future will look very kindly on what they've done because now is probably 18 months ago was the best time ever to sell, but they have been pioneers in an industry that not many people have understood, and not many people with big resources have been chasing and following.
Yeah.
And recently, Google and Apple have been purchasing up people who work in this area of mobile advertising. And so you've now got some of the world's biggest companies, biggest advertising companies, getting into this space, and they've got massive resources behind them. And up until now, it's also been a bit mysterious what they did. And the wonderful thing in advertising is where there's mystery, there's margin.
Yeah.
So if people don't know what you're doing, you can make money out of it. But more and more people know what's happening in this space and are able to develop things and are able to come up with strategies for getting those messages across. So I think that the dual factors of big boys getting into their game and also lots more people knowing what's going on means that they were going to lose their competitive advantage. They'd either be out-firepowered or outflanked. So to sell at this time and get some big resources behind them is just genius.
Great. Sounds like a great local success story. Simon, you're going to be taking part in something called a creative challenge, bringing your ideas outdoors.
Yeah, a couple of local companies have got together to put this creative challenge on as part of the Fringe Festival, which is a really cool thing to do. There's quite a few kind of creative campaigns around the world where people try to get something done in a short amount of time, kind of like a 48 hours film thing. This is a very extreme version of that, in that you have 1 hour it's an ad shell competition. You have to come up with they don't tell you what it is in advance. You have to answer some kind of brief using the medium of the ad shell outdoor advertising. And there's all kinds of teams of 6 from agencies competing. And you have 1 hour to come up with the best one, and the winner gets access to ad shell campaigns. And there's a whole lot of other sponsored categories, and people like Stop Press are helping put it together, and Draft SCB. And it looks like it should be a lot of fun. And if you're interested in that, head along to the Stop Press website and look for the creative challenge there, as they have been asking for entries still, but I'm sure those will be filling up. It's free to enter as well, which is not often the case in things associated with advertising.
Cool. The link's up at stoppress.co.nz. Also, there's creativechallenge.co.nz as well. And finally, let's finish on the Old Spice guy. He's back once again, Simon.
I think maybe I'll just put a ban on talking about him now. But the interesting thing here is that they won at Cannes the Grand Prix in film, which is pretty much the most traditional thing you can win in advertising. It means you made the best little ad in the world, best TV ad in the world. They've then followed it up with some really cool stuff that they did, totally personalised, direct social media stuff. So people could tweet at the Old Spice guy, and then he would answer them directly. So they had a team of copywriters and a camera crew just doing take after take after take of him standing in front of the shower scene with the Old Spice in his hand, saying, thank you for your message, and saying funny things back to them. And they did it for big media players and also kind of schlebs on the streets. They had Ellen DeGeneres and Biz Stone and all kinds of big time media people that he made direct responses to. So they will then go and put these things on their shows and on their websites and republicise it again.
It's very smart.
It was kind of perfect in that it was immediate, personalised, got people talking, will keep getting their messages into new places, and it reminds me a little bit, and I wonder if this might not have been their inspiration. I haven't seen it said anywhere, but special for their Together Incredible campaign, they did a very cool thing where they got Iggy Pop to do personalised messages, video messages, to key journalists in New Zealand in order to pick off interest.
I got one. I was totally blown away. I was fully surprised.
It was a great concept, and seeing that Orcon was a Grand Prix winner and as one of the 11 best campaigns in the world, all of these people would have looked at that campaign. And it just seemed so similar to me, and the timing is so suspicious that I wonder if these people at the agency of the Old Spice guy, I wonder if they didn't see that and go, shoot, that's a good idea.
Potentially, yeah. Well, let's go out on one of his ones that he's done. He's done one for Kevin Rose, who's the founder of dig.com, which has gone huge and is worth millions of dollars. He's also a broadcaster as well, and they've sent one of these videos to him. It's up on YouTube. We'll play a bit of it now. Simon Pound, simonpound.com, thanks so much.
Good man. Talk to you next week.
Hello, Kevin. How are you? Feeling better, I hope. I personally have never had a fever because my body is 98% muscle, and muscles can't get sick. The 1% of my body that isn't muscle is my ears. They're made of cartilage. But I did some research, and it doesn't look like you can get a fever in your ears, which I think we both can agree is a glorious thing. That being said, although I'm clearly winning in the physical department, you seem to have the edge intellectually because you're a genius at the internet. Can you imagine if your smart brain could team up with my strong muscle body and wildly handsome face parts? No, you can't. I can't. No one can. Because if anyone tried to imagine that, their brain would explode, and that's just not healthy. Thanks again, Kevin. Or in your genius smart computer language. 1001011010000001101.